Hello YouTube, and welcome to my first impressions of the Battlefield 4 beta. In this video, I'll be discussing some of my initial observations in regards to some of the game mechanics that aren't likely to be changed by launch. Battlefield 3 released a beta just prior to launch, which was mainly for publicity reasons and was really more of a demo, and Battlefield 4 is repeating this trend with its beta so close to the game's release. So it's likely many of the mechanics here will remain present by launch, so let's go through some of the initial observations from the first few hours of gameplay. First off, the counter-knifing thing everyone's been dreading seems to have been removed. I tried to knife kill often in hopes of filming the new counter-knife mechanics, since I had originally intended to make a knifing mechanics overview video first, but no one ever counter-knifed me. I had assumed at the time that everyone was just so busy creaming their pants over playing the Battlefield 4 Early Access beta that they just forgot to counter-knife, since they seem to be totally oblivious to their squad mates being raped with a pitchfork. But eventually, someone did try to knife me, and though my teammate shot them off, you'll notice that no counter-knife button appeared. Either counter-knifing has been removed, or the tooltip to counter-knife has been removed, or at least counter-knifing from behind has been removed, and everyone I've stabbed so far from in front has just been totally clueless. Otherwise, knifing seems to work almost exactly the same as it did in Battlefield 3. However, there do seem to be some upgrades in comparison to Battlefield 3. In terms of kit customization, you can now mix and match your gadgets in whichever order you want, and aren't forced to use one item, say Recon with Radio Beacon, and prevented from using gear items in certain combinations. I wish I could herald this as a great innovative step for Battlefield, but it's not, since Battlefield 2142 had such kit customization options years ago. Still, it's better than what was in Battlefield 3, so it is a step forward. The unlock paths, unfortunately, have more in common with Battlefield 3 than Battlefield 2 or 2142, though, as in it's still a linear progression unlock tree. You don't get to invest unlock points in whatever you want like you could in older Battlefield games. Granted, they have mixed up the unlock systems. You now need to grind with an engineer to unlock carbines for all classes, etc., but it's still the same old Battlefield 3 linear progression unlock system. No farming unlock points and choosing where you want to invest them. I think they put kit grinding to unlock certain weapons for all classes, like engineers for carbines and support for shotguns, in the game to encourage people to stick with one single class they have a lot of unlocks in a bit less. But I don't think it's as effective as simply letting people invest unlock points where they want, like you could in previous Battlefield games, so that's unfortunate. That said, there are some things about Battlefield 4 that do seem innovative. You now have a clear display of what your squad mates that you're thinking of spawning on see, and can tell more effectively what kind of crap you're going to be spawning into, which should help reduce situations in which you spawn in and immediately die. As for new features, let's talk about unlock paths. That seems to be Battlefield's method of including Call of Duty perks, but makes them squad teamwork rewards instead. You have a set of 4 perks as you gain squad points. Your bar increases and you unlock more of these 4. Basically, if you get special squad points from it, it contributes to your perk gain bar. Squad mates spawning on you, squad revives, etc. By the way, squad revives and squad mates spawning on you is probably the fastest way to grind out that bar, as a couple of squad revives will net you 1 or 2 of these perks fairly easily. That said, I am a little concerned about the new system, since it removes a perk if your squad is wiped out. That does worry me some, that people might be less willing to take risks to take an objective, given the penalty of a squad making a sacrifice. But I suppose we'll see further on if that concern is warranted. More on that in the past video later. As for gameplay quality and connectivity, well, as par normal for day 1, there's a lot of connectivity and frame rate problems, so I'm willing to give the game a pass on that, considering the circumstances. Still, when one negates those issues, it does feel like the hit detection and the like are improved over Battlefield 3, and I can, despite the choppiness that everyone is experiencing, still pull some rather good plays, so I'm optimistic about it. I'd comment on Commander Mode, but Commander Mode is currently disabled. Anyway, my first impressions in a nutshell are mixed. Another particularly large difference, which I think is actually going to be for the better, is that it seems that you can capture many bases from a larger radius than you otherwise would be able to in Battlefield 3, and also you gain points as you capture rather than just at the very end. I feel this is an improvement, and another step in the right direction. I'm a bit disappointed with the unlock system being linear and less innovative than Battlefield 2142's and having less variety, but it is definitely better than Battlefield 3's. Battlefield 2142 let you mix and match your gadgets in whatever combination you wanted, Battlefield 3 didn't. It looks like Battlefield 4 has taken a step closer to Battlefield 2142, and thus a step in the right direction, even if it's not really there yet. I suppose we'll see where we are in the next few weeks, though I don't anticipate any of these major gameplay factors will change. Hopefully there are more gadgets for each class on release, so that at least the number of gadgets in Battlefield 4 isn't outclassed by Battlefield 2142, as Battlefield 2142 did have more gadgets than Battlefield 3 did, and usable in more combinations. That, I suppose, I can tell you at launch. I'll have to make a more in-depth review later, but anyway, those are my first impressions. Like the video, share the video, link it on Reddit or Tumblr or wherever so people who aren't in the early access beta can see it, and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Later, YouTube.